Hello and welcome back to Offroad Outlaws, y'all. And today we are jumping into a brand new RP. Now, if you would like to follow along with this, the map that we are on is Kentucky Hills Farms. Now, we're going to go ahead and actually walk over to our garage in just a moment, but take a look at this neighborhood. This neighborhood is sick. So let's go ahead and walk down our front steps. And if you look around to the side of the driveway, you can see kind of our little carport slash garage setup. I don't know if that's considered a large garage or a small carport. I guess it could be either or. Now, we have so much space out here in the driveway that I'm kind of itching to get a new project started. And online last night, I actually found a rusting out K5 Blazer crawler that I really wanted to head over and take a look at and potentially buy for a future project. So let's go ahead and fire up the F450 and we're going to get a trailer hooked up to it and then go on over and check that thing out. Now, I do plan on upgrading my trailer to a gooseneck maybe a little bit later on down the road, but for now, this bumper pull will do just fine. It is a dual axle trailer, so it's not necessarily like, you know, bad by any means. It's just one of those things that I would like to upgrade eventually. So let's go ahead and back it up. And I'm going to get out of the truck real quick and just make sure we're somewhat close. Okay, yeah, that should be close enough. We'll back up just a tad bit more. Back it up. That's a little too far. Almost there. And boom. Oh, that's wild. The trailer didn't even have to move at all. Like, that was right on it. All right, so let's go ahead and pull on out. Now, I already went ahead and got the directions to this place. So essentially what it is this K5 crawler was apparently an old project that got started many years ago. And the owners just kind of decided they didn't want to work on it anymore, and they stopped progress, and then it started rusting away, and then eventually they pushed it into their barn, but not before it had started rusting, and essentially that caused the axles to get rusty, the suspension is all rusty, the body, like, it's gonna need a lot of work. It's gonna potentially need a full rebody, if nothing else, a full repaint. So let's go ahead and make our way on in here. And we'll go ahead and let them know that we're here. God, this is a setup. Like, this is absolutely wild. Absolutely nuts. It's over in the barn, and we can go take a look at it. Perfect. Now, let's make our way around to the other side of the driveway, and that looks like it right there. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this thing. Now, they did say it didn't run, so if we do want to get this thing running, we are going to have to essentially load it up and take it back to our place and then potentially go through the steps of getting it started again. Now, it has been diesel swapped, as you can probably tell by the hood stack, but pretty much everything is rusted out on it. I mean, the body is rusted, even the wheels are rusted, although oddly enough, the beadlock rings are not. I guess those are like, maybe they just got resurfaced, maybe they're new, but as you can see, again, the axles are all rusted out. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this thing, but I think we're going to go ahead and pick it up, but that is going to require us pushing it onto the trailer, but luckily it goes downhill a little bit here, and I don't even think we can push this thing. I mean, this thing is so incredibly heavy. I tell you what, we will use the built-in winch on the trailer. So we'll go ahead and winch this thing up onto the trailer and then take it on home and get it into the shop and see what we can sort out right off the bat. And after a lot of back and forth, we finally have it up here on the trailer. We're just going to go ahead and run around real quick, make sure the straps are all tight and dialed in, which they look like they are, but we're going to go ahead and make sure, just to make sure we don't have any unexpected unloading incidents on the way home. But I'm really excited to see what we can do with this thing. I mean, it's gonna be a really in-depth project for sure, but I don't think it's anything that we can't take on. I mean, we've taken on some wilder projects before, but you also never really know what you're getting into with a project like this, so we won't really be able to have any kind of definitive idea until we get it inside the garage. Because until we get it inside of the garage, there's a lot of stuff that is potentially up in the air. Now, there's a lot that we can do with something like this, though. We could restore it to kind of make it like an OEM Plus build. We could carry on with the crawler theme that it has now, Or we could go a little bit more of a mud truck direction, which all of those are definitely usable scenarios, but we would really have to think about which way we want to go before we go all in on one of them. So let's head back into the neighborhood. And once we get this thing backed into the garage, I mean, really, we can just get the tools out and start working on it. All right, let's bring ourselves right over here. Just give ourselves enough room to reverse back into the driveway. It's definitely a pretty easy driveway to back into, but still you got to be careful because this trailer in particular can push in very odd ways, like it did right there, for example, especially since we have to back down off of this curb. Oh, I don't like this curb. I'm going to have to get them to smooth this out at some point. Easy. I wonder if they can just put in a little concrete ramp for us right here. Come on. But that's a project for another day. All right, so now we get to unload it from the trailer and push it into the garage and just kind of start going through things, because I think there's definitely going to be a lot that we will need to do before it runs and drives, but also before it's kind of visually where we want it to be as well. And after pushing it off of the trailer, it is now officially home. And so really all we got to do is open up the hood, get into this thing, and really see if we can kind of get down to the details of what's been left alone over the years. I definitely want to make sure we drain out the fuel tank, because you have no idea what could be in there after all of the time and all of the years that it's been sitting. I mean, especially with a diesel swap that was done pretty much at home on something like this. I mean, they did do some of the visual elements, like they put the hood stack on it, and it looks like they ran most of the stuff for the fuel system, but I don't want to necessarily like just put fuel in it and try to crank it, because I feel like if I do that, well, it's probably not going to go well. It's probably actually going to go really, really bad if we try to do that. So I think now what we got to do is probably just head up to the parts store. We'll get a few things and we'll start trying to make sure that all of the bare minimum stuff to make this thing run is handled. And then once all that is handled, we should be good to try to start it. Now, the first things we need to make sure we get are everything we need to clean out the fuel system. We also got to get a new, well, we don't have to get a new tank, but I want to go ahead and get a new tank. And then we'll also get the rest of the fuel lines that we need, and we will get a fresh set of injectors as well, just to make sure, again, that everything is new in terms of the fuel system, so we don't, risk grenading anything. Stop in the middle of the 4-lane just so we don't pull out in front of some, well, they may not be there right now, but you never know. All right, now over here, obviously we have a gas station and everything that we need for fuel. We'll go there later, but right now where we need to go is we need to go over here to the little parts shop that's connected to the gas station. So let me actually go ahead, and since we're picking up a lot of stuff, we're gonna go ahead and just park right here. And then we'll go inside and just let them know. Oh, put that away. We'll go inside and just let them know that the truck is ready to be loaded, and we'll head on back to the house. And it looks like, well, I would wonder if one of these pallets was for us, but apparently whatever was on these pallets has already been unloaded. And so clearly our parts were not here. All right, well, we'll have to go inside and talk to somebody about that then. All right, we're on our way back. Everything's loaded, and we should have everything we need as long as everything goes well and nothing kind of grenades itself. We should have everything we need to get the Blazer started by pretty much the end of the day. So as long as everything goes smooth and according to the plan, we should be able to get this thing started. I did pull it back out of the garage because I figured it might be just a little bit easier to kind of like get a look at everything out there in the light, because I don't have the lighting set up in the garage that I want yet. But as soon as we get the lighting set up that we need, we'll be able to work on it inside, no problem. Especially working on it during the night is going to be a big deal. So really now all we have to do is get to work. And the first thing we need to do, the very first thing we need to do is go underneath it and start working on all of the connections for the fuel lines and the tank and everything that connects to the engine and the high pressure part of the fuel system. And once that's all done, we're actually going to try to start it up. So cross your fingers that it actually works. Well, we've been working on it for a while now, and everything seems super solid. It doesn't seem like there's anything that's loose or sketchy, and I've triple checked everything. So let's go ahead and hop in it and see if it fires up. I mean, if it fires up on the first go, we'll take it for a little bit of a test drive around the neighborhood. We're not going to give it the beans by any means just yet, but let's get in it and see if it wants to work. Seems pretty solid to me. Now, before we do anything wild, before we, take it rock crawling or anything like that, we are just going to drive it around the neighborhood real quick and just make sure it all works. So let's go ahead and make a quick left. It's definitely got a lot of torque. Whatever they did in terms of like the tuning setup on this engine is gnarly. Let's see. So let's turn it around real quick. Just making sure everything works as necessary. We'll drive it down to the other end of the neighborhood. We'll go through the gears a little bit. Let's see. Let's watch the speed. That was like nothing to 40 in pretty much no time. Like almost no time at all. I'm sure they won't mind if I turn around in their driveway. I mean, they seem to have a project car of their own. So, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Let's get into it one more time. One more time. 3, 2, 1, from a dig this time, and go. God, that first to second shift is absolutely wild. Okay, so it runs, which is a very good sign, but we are definitely going to need to do some work in terms of the visuals because everything is still rusted out. But before we go any further, I just want y'all to let me know in the comments down below, what would you see, or what would you like to see, what would you like to see in the future of this rescued, rusted out Blazer rebuild? Let me know all of your suggestions in the comments below, and I will see y'all next time.